Okay, we'll call the public hearing regarding the adoption of an amendment to the flood damage prevention town ordinance, chapter 115, to order. Those who can, join us, stand, please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Peck, would you lead us, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Right here.
Okay. Just a moment.
I'll just, I'll go ahead and read it. This, I'll read the call to the, for the public hearing. Notice is hereby given of a public hearing to be held by the East Lyme Board of Selectmen at 7 p.m. on May 18th, 2022 at the East Lyme Town Hall, 108 Pennsylvania Avenue, Niantic, Connecticut, to consider the adoption of an amendment to an ordinance entitled Flood Damage Prevention, Town Ordinance, Chapter 151. Said ordinance provides regulatory controls for flooding in the town of East Lyme. A copy of the full text of the proposed ordinance is on file for public inspection at the office of the town clerk, 108 Pennsylvania Avenue, Niantic, Connecticut, at http://www.eastlimetownhall.com, to which reference may be had. Interested persons are invited to attend and be heard, and this was posted in the New London Day on May 6th, 2022, as required. Is there anyone who would like to be heard on this ordinance? Okay, seeing none, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded. Okay, that meeting has been closed, and now we'll move on to our regular agenda. Are there any, call the meeting to order, and we'll dispense with the Pledge of Allegiance since we just did that. Are there any additional agenda and consent items? I don't believe so.
No.
Anyone that would like to address the board on any item? Okay, seeing none. Moving on, approval of minutes. Ann?
Yeah, move to approve the special meeting minutes of April 29, 2022 as submitted.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any comments? Questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Okay. And move to approve the regular meeting minutes of May 4, 2022 as submitted.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second?
Been seconded. Any comments or corrections?
I wasn't there, but I did look at the video, so I feel that I can vote.
Certainly.
Likewise.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Then all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Carried unanimously. Moving on to consent calendar.
Move to approve the consent calendar for the regular meeting of May 18, 2022 in the amount of $7,550.42.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? It carries unanimously. Item 1 would have been just for discussion. Alex Close has come up with a plan, and we're submitting a grant application for the improvement of sidewalks on East Patagonic Road. And it'll be improvement and extension, hopefully they'll extend from 161 all the way up to 156. He's done the research as far as the fact that we have right of ways to get there, and it'll also be some road improvements as well. We've sent letters out to residents on that road to advise them of that. But Alex, I should have checked this. Alex is on vacation this week, so I wasn't going to make him come back from his vacation from this. We'll have this for another meeting, and by then we will know the status of our initial submission of the grant application. I think I briefly touched on this at the last meeting. This is through the Southeast Connecticut Council of Governments. They've got money from the state, and if they like your first grant application, the initial one, then they tell you to move forward with one that's more detailed and basically, completed to move forward. So we'll more to that later. So now, Mr. Putnam, we're up for you. I'm sorry, Dave. If you'd like to stay longer.
Thank you.
No. Thank you.
So Kevin had asked me to come and present a little bit on what we're thinking as far as, we had $200,000 approved from the ARP monies to look at restroom enhancements at our facilities. One of our our goals, or I guess my main concern, is the hole-in-the-wall bathroom facility and the amount of usage that gets, and how we could possibly add to that or add additional urinals or toilets or whatever. We run into a huge problem. We only have 2 toilets in each of the ones at the hole in the wall, and it's become a management issue for us in a good way, in that we're attracting a ton of people to the boardwalk and to our beaches, and we can't keep up with the demand down there. So that was kind of what we're looking at, and how do we do that with limited space that we have down there. So one of the things that we looked at are composting toilets. And so with that, we've done some preliminary investigations with a company called Clevis, New England, and they just put in 3 over in Old Saybrook that we had a chance to look at. And one of the reasons we were looking at that was we can keep those open year-round. As you know, the hole-in-the-wall building, and we have to pull the trailer out at down at Cheney Park, and that we rent 2 porta potties on each end during the winter months. So this is something to be able to stay open year-round. Again, I talked about the replacement with the winter months. There is no running water, so there's no drain on our water system. We would have hand sanitizers put into each of the units. There's no strain on our septic system. We're not hooked up to the sewer system there. We are septic, so we get that pumped quite regularly. So if we add additional toilets, this would not put a strain on that. They can be solar powered or hooked up to our electrical grid, and the reason for the power is it runs a small fan, so it takes the odors and it pushes the odors from underneath the composting up and away. So we looked at some other communities. We looked at especially Old Saybrook. Like I said, they just put 3 in earlier this spring. One is at their pickleball courts over on Main Street. If you look at that, it really is a kind of a neat building. The units are all ADA accessible. They're easy to clean. Again, low odor. They claim low odor. I'd like to go over in the middle of the summer and see what that really looks like over in Old Saybrook before we move forward on that. Like I said, we're in the preliminary discussions with one of those companies, and they gave us a price estimate somewhere between $65,000 and $75,000 per unit, and that is installed. So they come and do everything once the site is approved, and they come and place that composting toilet there at the facility. And then we did talk about wind load. The wind load is right now at 120 miles per hour. We are concerned about that, obviously, even though we're on the other side of the train tracks. We would be concerned about that, and I'm sure building and zoning would have an issue with wind load as well, and where it goes, and if we have to do a CAM application and all that other good stuff, which I think is well worth the effort to do those types of things. And then, like again, we're in a preliminary discussions on that with the design, the location. We don't even know if hole in the wall, if they'll fit in there where the septic tank is, and with the parking, because we are pretty landlocked there. And then, obviously we'll bring a recommendation at a later date moving forward as far as it is concerned. But I think it's the best use of that $200,000 has been appropriated, and if it is something that it is successful, I'd like to see then a plan moving forward. Perhaps, the playscape up at McCook gets a ton of activity once we close the bathroom down, because none of our restrooms are winterized. So with that, we did put a porta potty up there. No one likes a porta potty, right? To be honest with you. So to do this and to be able to clean it and keep some maintenance on it and have it open year round, I think not only there, also look at Peretz Park. We have the walking trail. A lot of people use that when there's no snow on the ground. So if it is something that's successful there, I could see this being a kind of a phase in to have a number of units there that supplement our restroom facilities. Same thing at Brybrook. Brybrook we have in the capital improvement plan too, moving forward for additional toilets and urinals down there. Again, only 2 stalls down there, and the amount of activity we got on a Saturday or a Sunday with tournaments and stuff going on is crazy. So it's something we're looking into. I think we need to do some more research on them, but I think in our preliminary discussions, it's a good way to go, and not get into septic, especially at the hole in the wall where that's already being used and filled up on a regular basis. So I hope kind of touch base on that a little bit. I know you have pictures of it, so we're able to custom design the color. So the color is I would go with that slate gray color, that Cape Cod gray color that we have already on the buildings at McCook and hole in the wall. So that would match that. And then, like I said, we're going to meet, I think, with Mr. Shear and representatives from Clevis about looking at the site a little bit more and see if it is doable to put in those, if there's appropriate place to put them in there at the hole in the wall.
I appreciate this, Dave, and I wanted, even though, as Dave says, preliminary, I wanted him to bring this forward to us, so, because I know I always get questions about bathrooms on Main Street. We need more bathroom services. We're not even sure we could expand the bathrooms in the current facilities at hole in the wall.
Right.
For the size, we'd have to modify the building, and if it then puts a further strain on the septic, we'd have to consider running pipe from Main Street to sewage, which is going to be an expense too. So, and the thing that I think, Dave, that you even pointed out is this is, basically the
Ecologically, environmentally, yeah, absolutely.
Thing is, and it also addresses, because and I'll cover this under my report too, about bathrooms for the summer and stuff like that. But and this avoids the cost of winterizing the bathrooms, because the ones up at the upper part of the by the playscapes up at McCook's is where people complain about, especially the first nice weekend you get. It gets a lot of use, and the porta potties are cleaned
once a week during the winter time. Yeah.
But if it's done on a Thursday and you have a good 3 days coming up weather-wise, but that third day it's difficult.
Yeah, we run into that at the hole in the wall too. They'll come and clean it on a Thursday, and by Monday, if we had a nice weekend, it's not in good shape, and the phone's ringing off the hook. So
Yeah.
there is some maintenance that goes to these. So there are solids that unfortunately people throw. Soda cans, beer cans.
boy.
There's no alcohol down there at all. So just soda cans or water bottles and stuff. So there is a trap door that they can come, and so we would contract out with somebody to come clean that out on probably, he said, probably a quarterly basis to begin with, to see how that goes. So there is a little bit more cost to that. But then as far as the other, I don't know how to say this, the other waste that can be pumped out the same time that we pump our septic tank out. So that would be kind of how we would do that. So there is some maintenance that does need to go into that as well. So,
Questions for Dave?
Yeah, just a couple. So, how frequently is the pump out happening with our existing?
right now we're doing it every other month at the hole in the wall.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this would dovetail that.
Yes,
so to speak.
correct.
Okay. And other than Clivis as a company providing this, who else does
Right. So
this?
there's not many other companies actually that do. So Hammond Asset has the same Clivis units. Old Saybrook has gone to that. Essex has them as well. So we'll do some more research. Like I said, we're very, very preliminary, and this is the first company that we came to. But it certainly will go out to bid and all that other, as far as that is concerned. But I don't know of any other companies, to be honest with you, and I'll have to do some research on it.
It's a sort of newer technology, if you will. I mean, it's based on a.
Well, he's been doing it for a long time, but I think it's gotten to the point where they put pine shavings in there for the for the odor, and then so they've done a lot of research on the best way to break down the waste, I guess is the best way to say it, and to do that. But our concern is the solids. How many people are going to actually throw stuff down there. Hopefully it's not much, but we are going to have to. There is a vault built in for that to be able to take those out. So.
my last question for now. In the pictures provided, that you've already provided to us, there were some more woodland settings, like where you would expect it. It's sort of
Right.
more of a campsite, if
Yep.
you will, like the places in Rhode Island. I'm familiar with some of them. So, so is it catching on? It sounds like it's catching on, in non-remote areas, like for example, at the pickleball courts
Right.
in Old Saybrook or whatever.
Absolutely. So, you're not bringing sewer to it, right? You're not connecting to septic, and there's no water. So it really is kind of, I want to look at, like I said, I want to go over there on July
Yeah.
15, go take a real look and see, what the odors are, because no one likes that
No,
odors,
that's
and that kind of thing. So I'd like to do some more investigation on that, but I think if it works, this is a good thing to be able to supplement what we have, and then also keep them open year round, which I think is we're getting hit with that constantly. Unfortunately, none of our buildings are winterized, so we're always, we're taking, shutting the buildings down probably mid-November through, we did late March this year, opened them up, so it's.
And then you can do some cost comparisons with the cost of the porta potties now.
Right. We're paying $90 a unit per month. It adds up. And no one likes it. No offense to the porta potty people, but no one likes to go to the bathroom in a porta, but it's just not good.
Okay, that's it for me for now.
Yeah.
If you drive along I-95, particularly through New Hampshire, along that area, they have had these toilets for many years. And of course, they're high volume.
Right.
And every time that I've used them, they've been clean. There
Right.
hasn't been an odor. And it's certainly a high traffic area.
Right.
You get a lot more. But I noticed in driving along that they don't all use the same companies.
Right. So that's why I'll have to do some further research
So
on that.
so Clivis says that it's New England.
Well, they're based in New England. So I think most of I think what he gave you or what you have copies of are Rhode Island, like I said,
Some
Old Saybrook,
Massachusetts.
Essex, some Massachusetts. Yeah. So
Right.
yeah.
Well, I think if you made a call to the New Hampshire Department of Transportation, they
Yep.
could give you some additional information.
Yep.
I know that they've been using them for at least the last 10 to 15 years.
Great.
But it's interesting that they aren't all the same.
Right.
So perhaps installed at different times with
Right.
places from different companies,
Yep.
or they were just experimenting. For McCook's,
Mhm.
now, are you thinking of freestanding ones such as this, or are you thinking of more of a,
My thought would be at McCook, a freestanding one up top, because that's where we get our most usage, and I think there's plenty of room up there to do that near the existing bathroom already. So that would be my, start with one, and if the demand, goes for two, I would think. But our first goal, I think my first priority would be hole in the wall, just because of the traffic, and then look at other places throughout. Like I think even Vets down the road with the trailhead to, the Oswegatchie Hills, and even Darrow Pond up there, that you have something like that, maybe you do one or two a year or over a certain amount of time, and then you're really serving our community year round. I think would be really beneficial. So.
well, I noticed that they still continue to have separate men and women's facilities. I don't know if the hardware is any different, never having been in the men's section.
Right. These are all unisex. So these are all built to be, and we put the baby changing station. You can get that as an alternate to put those in there as well. So there are some things, but they are designed for unisex use.
Now, I know that some of them are gas-powered, natural gas-powered, for the disposal once it's been utilized, and the waste is then ground up, but they use natural gas for it. So
I can look into that. I haven't seen that, Roseanne. I know these are either solar powered, for that fan to get those odors out, or if you were to put a small light in there. But my thing would be that we would close them like we do our other bathrooms at night, that we don't keep them open overnight. So
years ago, I had inquired about having these at Cheney Park, and was told that we could not have those there because of the low water level and the flooding.
I would think you're probably correct on that. I would think you're at probably at elevation 13 you need to be at, I think, so, for down there. I could not see these going down there. I don't think that's an appropriate place for those. And I don't, I'm going to, ask Mr. Mulholland, who will certainly have input on all these when we start moving forward with them, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Where is the one in Old Saybrook?
So you know where the, on Main Street, they have 3. I'm not sure the other 2 parts. Mike and I went over and looked at the one on Main Street. So,
Main Street?
yeah, where their pickleball courts are, they have 3 standalone pickleball courts. It's right across the street from the Kate.
Oh, okay.
Yep, right across the street there, and the fire department's down there, so it's right there across the street if you want to take a look. Can't miss them, they're bright blue. They're Old Saybrook blue, so. I wouldn't pick that color, no offense to Ray Allen over in Old Saybrook, but I wouldn't pick that color. I'd kind of try to stay with our color scheme that we have down there presently.
We have a lot of townspeople who are going over there to use the pickle
Oh.
courts. So talking with Kathy Wilson, a lot of the seniors are traveling around to different towns.
Without question,
So
yeah.
you might be able to get some personal accounts.
Right, yeah, absolutely. I'm interested, like I said, I'm interested to go over in July. I'm really concerned, that would be my big concern is the odors that, obviously the company's claiming that, very low odor, but I really want to see that in heavy usage and what that kind of looks like. Of course, I guess that's a good.
Bill, Ann?
So just a quick question, the hole in the wall, where, do you know where it would be placed?
Yeah, so we're looking at we have a couple different options. So if you look at the building to the left, there's a flagpole there and kind of an open area there. Not sure if it can fit there because the septic tank is right there, so how far we have to be from a septic tank. So the other thing we looked at, and we're just like preliminary stage kind of thinking out of the box, but where the gatehouse is as you come in, they're to the left there. If we took 2 of those parking spots right there and put them there, so that actually when people are entering from Main Street after they do their walk, they would have something right there and a little bit more visible. Now, parking's a premium, but, is it worth giving up 2 spots? We fill up that lot, 3 or 4 times a year. So, if we lose those 2 spots and if it's appropriate, we can do that. That would be kind of the other location that we're kind of thinking about, Ann, right now. But we're really kind of struggling for land lot. We're kind of, there's not much room there to do it, but I think we need to look at, that's our heavy usage building, without question.
Yeah. So my other question is, it looks like there's a platform on the bottom. Is that something that you would have to build? Like
They build it,
underneath
they come and they do everything, so
They do it,
they
okay.
come and install, so there's a ramp, a handicap ramp to make it ACA acceptable. The platform I think you talked about is where you can pick it up and they can access it for the solids
Okay.
and stuff like that, and it's locked and that kind of stuff, so it is, yes, so it's all turnkey, once
you
we,
don't
yeah,
have-
yeah, it's
okay.
one, we don't have to, we don't have to do anything as far as that price is concerned.
Okay, great. No other questions? Thank you.
So that was going to be my question, the 650 to 6575 includes all site prep.
Installation, all site prep and installation, correct, yep.
I believe they got these at both the beginning and the end of the trail at Bluff Point in Groton.
Those are those the wood ones?
Yeah, they're not this generation, right?
Right,
They're
right.
like an older generation.
right.
And I can tell you in the summertime, they've got solar power on them,
Yeah.
and the fans don't work real
Right,
good in the
right.
summertime. So they are earlier generation, but they definitely have some smell to them.
Yeah, without quite, yeah, and I think we're so more advanced, or Bill, I'm gonna think we're so more advanced than we were when those went in 20 years ago.
They've been there for a while.
Yeah, yeah.
No, the site prep is my only other question, so,
Yeah.
because my question with the 200,000, you're talking at the most 3 of these
3,
units.
correct. But if we can get 2 at the hole in the wall and 1 at McCook, I think that's a huge step in the right direction. And then if they are successful, look at capital improvement down the road, to plan those out, and certainly, I think it's a good way to do it. I'm hoping it's a good, that this is a good fit for us.
Any other questions?
And you said you had to do a contract to clean them out on a quarterly basis. Is this the company that would do it, or is that like a separate?
That's just, it could be, you could contract out, but that doesn't mean you can't bring someone else in with a vac truck to do that. It's just a matter of,
Who you want to use?
yeah, who you want to use. Same thing, go out to bid and
Okay.
see what type of prices they come back in with, But the septic, septic is whoever we get to pump the septic,
Yeah.
right? So,
Okay.
So
Right. Oh, go ahead, Dan.
you said 2 at hole in the wall and 1 at McCook's?
yeah, that's my thinking to start. Yeah, my thought, and then look at
Up the
the,
top of McCook's.
yeah, up top of
Yeah.
the cook, yeah, not so much lower, and then, look at vets and maybe one at vets and one at Brybrook or two at Brybrook. Vets I think would be great with the trailhead there and the amount of usage that's getting throughout the year too. And then like I said, I think a good spot for Darrow would be good too for that.
Well, as Mr. Mulholland is here this evening, we don't oftentimes get him as a visitor. I wonder if he has anything to add that would be helpful for us.
Recognition.
Yeah.
Bill Mulholland, zoning official. When we get there, we'll look at the FEMA stuff, the flood stuff, because it may affect it. And so Dave is correct, and Cheney Park's probably out of the question. That's why the current ones are on a trailer. They're removable for a 100-year storm event. And it was kind of a compromise. FEMA was stretched to let us do that. And so that was a good solution. We'd probably have the same problem down there if we do something different. It's very low down there. In a 100-year storm event, you're going to have 14 feet of water. At a hole in the wall, Dave will work through the problem looking for a location. He'll come in. He'll need some type of permit for us. He'll need an 824 from the Planning Commission for municipal improvement, and we'll permit it through. It shouldn't be a big issue. It really is looking at location. And most of the real issues are FEMA, and we don't have them only in Cheney Park, which would adversely affect this type of a project.
Would any of them require a CAM permit?
No, I would probably exempt it under CAM. In the CAM section in the zoning regulations, there's a number of exemptions, and this is the type of activity that would be considered exemptable. I mean, I'd have to review it and write a memo, but my first thought was it'd probably be it's an accessory ancillary use to the current activity, so we'd look at it that way. And it's going to be some distance from the water anyway. You're probably 50, 70 feet. So I don't think that would be necessary.
Okay,
Welcome.
thank you, Bill.
You're welcome.
Okay. If no other questions, Dave, thank you for the presentation. And I don't think that you're hearing any of us say don't continue. So it's
No,
something
sounds good.
very much so, because that's the one thing. When I talked to the Main Street group a couple weeks ago, the one thing is bathrooms in the summer. I mean, so
All year round, actually.
all year round too. So yeah, but especially then. So all right, thank you, Dave.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, we have to schedule a town meeting. Board of Finance took action on what we sent to them, and we have to schedule a meeting for June 1st.
Okay,
So,
move the following call. Town of East Lyme, notice of special town meeting. Notice is hereby given of a special town meeting of the Town of East Lyme to be held on June 1, 2022 at 7 p.m. Eastern Time at the East Lyme Town Hall Upper Meeting Room for the following purposes. 1, to consider and act upon a special appropriation in the amount of $25,000 to CNRE Fund 32 and establish an account titled JAG Grant Projects and authorize said purchase from Star Computers. 2, to consider and act upon a special appropriation in the amount of $70,000 from CNRE Fund 32 account number 32-70-300-500-999 townwide projects and establish an account titled NBB Concrete Repairs, more specifically for the structural and cosmetic repair of the concrete cracks on the Niantic Bay Boardwalk. 3, to consider and act upon a special appropriation in the amount of $15,200 for the evaluation of the permeability of the exterior of the new public safety building, provide solution options, a cost estimate, and the production of construction plans and specifications to an account to be established in Project Fund 57 titled PS Building Masonry Repair. Source of funding to be from bond and note sale premium funds. 4, to consider and act upon a special appropriation in the amount of $23,000 from CNRE account 32-30-400-700-999 PWD, reserved to replace the existing engine in one of the town's garbage truck, parentheses 76EL. 5, to consider and act upon a special appropriation in the amount of $30,489 in CNRE Fund 32 to account 32-30-400-700-999 titled PWD Reserve for future allocation for Public Works Department equipment. 6, to consider and act upon a special appropriation in the amount of $15,000 in CNRE Fund 32 to an account to be established titled Affordable Housing Planning Grant for the grant awarded by the State Department of Housing for professional consulting and technical services to update the plan of affordable housing. 7, to consider and act upon a special appropriation in the amount of $70,284 in CNRE Fund 32 for the purchase of a new 16-passenger and 2-wheelchair bus to be utilized at the senior center. Delivery expected late 2022, early 2023, to account number 32-40-400-700-702, COA DOT 5310 bus. 8, to consider and act upon a special appropriation in the amount of $12,421 in CNRE Fund 32 to an account to be established titled Surcharge SB 1037 for the purpose of setting aside funds collected for the 5-cent surcharge in 50 milliliter nip liquor bottles in accordance with SB 1037, an act concerning solid waste management. And 9, to transact any other business proper to come before the meeting, dated at East Lyme, Connecticut, this 18th day of May 2022, East Lyme Board of Selectmen.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously. I don't miss reading those. Sure.
All right, we have some appointments.
Yeah, we do have a few appointments. Sandy, there was that one that we had to make sure was taken care of, was it? Yes. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, so first, move to appoint Peter Levanti, Sr. of 130 Boston Post Road, number 35, East Lyme, Connecticut, to serve as a member on the pension board for the town of East Lyme.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comment? Just so you let you know, when the pension committee was formed, and it always has, even before we established it as a board, we always wanted to have one member of the union as a member, so they, were able to participate and carry back to the membership how things are done at the pension level. So Mr. Levanti, who's a lifetime resident in town, has been working at the Board of Ed as a maintainer for a couple decades, volunteered to do that. So anyway, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Carries unanimously.
Second, move to appoint William Bundy III of 194 Exeter Road, Lebanon, Connecticut, as interim fire marshal for the town of East Lyme.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Sandy, I'll let you pick which one. Any comment? Just really quickly, I appointed him right afterwards because he came in to talk one day to get the keys, because the day was going to be to start after that. While he was in here, there was that truck fire up on the highway. So I ran him down to the clerk's office. He got sworn in and the chief, he drove over to the public safety building, got his truck, and the chief took him up to the highway, and he went to work that same day. So you want to talk about coming in just to pick up the keys? Busy day for him, but anyway.
This is to be interim,
For now, yes.
yes. But is he able to be the full-time fire marshal because of his residence in Lebanon?
Yes, there's nothing that would prohibit that.
Okay.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Carries unanimously.
Okay. 3, move to appoint Rory Gio, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, G-H-I-O,
Yes.
of 104 East Shore Drive, Niantic, Connecticut, as deputy fire marshal for the town of East Lyme, with a term to expire on January 5th, 2026.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been seconded. Rory had served in the past and has indicated he'd like to come back. So, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Before we leave the interim fire marshal, there's
Can
no...
we finish this
Oh,
motion
I'm
we're on
sorry, I
right
thought
now?
we voted. I'm sorry.
We did, but all carries unanimously. Okay, going back.
Yeah, so there's no date on this for the interim. So I assume that there are going to be interviews set up for full-time?
What I'd like to do, to be honest with you, is to see how the next couple of months go. We've gotten some extremely positive comments by both the business and public residents about the new the interim fire marshal. So before, I'd like to revisit this, and I'll bring that back to the board at some later time.
Okay, thank you.
He would not be appointed, the interim title would not be removed unless, the board obviously agreed to it. Okay.
Did we finish our vote?
I think, did we finish? Okay.
Yes, okay, so we're
Okay.
set there. Okay, fourth and last appointment, move to appoint James Allen of 31 Sea Spray Avenue, Niantic, Connecticut, as a member on the East Lyme Harbor Management Shellfish Commission with a term to expire on January 5, 2026.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded. Any comments? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Carries unanimously. Moving on, the FEMA flood ordinance. We discussed this last time, but Bill is here if we have any other things that we'd like to ask him before we take action on it. Anyone, any questions for Bill? Or Norm, since he's here too. Yeah. Any? Okay.
Okay, so I will do this. Yes, I know. Yes, I saw that. Okay, so 3B is okay. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Sandy. Okay, move to adopt a proposed amendment to an ordinance entitled Flood Damage Prevention, Town Ordinance, Chapter 151. The effective date of the ordinance shall be 10 days after publication of the notice of its adoption. Effective date, 5/31/2022.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further comments or final comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're good, Bill. Okay, moving on, no communications.
We did.
We gotta go back up, yeah.
Ex officio.
Yes, ex officio reports. Bill, start with you.
We had a planning commission May 10th. There's really nothing significant other than setting up, talking about plan of conservation, setting up subcommittees for that, and then scheduling a public hearing for a new subdivision. And then the town building committees tomorrow night, so that's all I have.
Okay, Ann.
I have nothing to report.
Okay, Ann.
Same for me, nothing this week.
Dan.
Well, on the 12th, I attended the Parks and Rec meeting, and I do have some unfortunate news. The winds damaged our new tent that we have down at the McCook's, and severely damaged it. And they're working with the tent company to see, hopefully the warranty will cover some of it, and see what solutions they have moving forward. It was, we had some windy, high gusts, and whoever it was, it ripped the holding rings and it damaged it. So that's that. They've prepared a request for proposal for a master plan for Darrow's Pond, and so that's in the works, and I think that's still being worked on, I believe, but they've drafted a proposal, and that'd be a master plan for how they would handle recreation and development down at Darrow's Pond. So they're working on that. And let's see, one other thing I wanted to mention. Oh, the sales of the passes, beach pass revenue. It was, to date at the meeting, it was $51,398, and at the same time last year it was $34,000. So a significant increase, at least at that point in time, of the beach passes. And I think they attribute some of that to people starting to buy them online. It's a little bit quicker and easier, and but the demand is high for the beach passes. So that's my report.
Thank you.
Is there
Is there any, the upswing, is this from local people, or is it basically,
On the beach passes?
yeah?
I don't know. I don't have visibility into that.
Okay, Roseanne?
Commission on Aging still has a vacancy, and party affiliation can be either. We've had a couple of people that have showed an interest, but that commission meets on a Monday night and meets at 5 o'clock. Meetings generally don't last more than an hour, but for many people that's dinner time, and I think, except for the occasional Board of Ed meeting, that is the only commission in town that meets at 5 o'clock. So, do you know of anybody? Give our first selectman a call. And zoning for tomorrow night is canceled.
Okay. Okay, moving on to my report. Tomorrow is the referendum, so please make sure, pass the word. We have the signboards out and so forth like that. It's on the message board out here from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the community center, all voters and residents, if you are taxed over $1,000 on an item and have the ability to go and cast their vote on the budget tomorrow. So please make sure you exercise your right to do that. Moving on, some very good news. Starting probably next week, the demolition of the Starlight and Starlight Motel and mobile gas station will start. It'll start with the removal of items and debris and so forth like that. And again, this could float, but it's supposed to start towards the end of next week. My guess is, with that being the holiday weekend, don't be surprised if it's the following week. But we have been given a date at the end of this month, early next month, that demolition will start. One of the big things, calls we start taking this time of year too, is trash on Main Street in the bins. So right now with Joe Bergaw and Justin Porter are going to be coming through the proposal to purchase with the NIP money a couple of 2 or 3 garbage cans. They're dual garbage cans. They're solar powered. They compost everything in that. The thing is, the price tag is about $5,000 per can on it. So they're doing a lot more research on it, and they're going to be coming back with that to see if it's something that would be feasible, and probably recommend that we start with a couple test locations to see how it goes. So that's one of the items, trash on Main Street. Airbnbs are becoming a bit of a concern. And we have some town zoning regs that say unless it's under 30 days, you cannot use it, because then it's, you can't rent your house out for a night. That's not allowed by our zoning regulations. We had some people come in from one beach community that does not have their own zoning regulations about concerns about, and one showed 8 cars at a residence overnight, and then the next day people throwing garbage in everybody's around there's garbage cans, or just leaving them outside. So it's having an adverse effect on the neighborhood and so forth. So they met with Mr. Mulholland and me, and we're going to, Bill's going to start taking action, sending letters to the owners, letting them know it's not an allowed thing, and if they don't, conform to that, then there's other steps he can take. But we definitely feel it needs to start being addressed. The tent at McCook's, you've already talked about that. Interim fire marshal, we've talked about that. American Rescue Plan, we're having people starting to come and ask for the funds. Town attorney has not yet given us that form that the nonprofits and the small businesses need to fill out. So Ann's going to reach out to them. Tracy, Attorney Collins even said, could she contact Ann, but she hasn't done it yet, so Ann's going to reach out to her, because we'd like to get that form done so they can sign and start getting their funds. Some good stuff that occurred this past weekend on Saturday morning. Oswegatchie Nature Preserve had their annual meeting, and it was a really nice presentation and so forth like that. And Greg Decker, who's, as you go into Vets Park, his house is that one on the left. Greg has volunteered countless hours of his time to make that what it is. He just never stops working. So they renamed that little area, just as you go in now on the right, actually it's across from it, where that little park is now the Greg Decker Park, and rightly so, it's named after him. He's done a great job. This weekend is Touch a Truck, Saturday at McCook's from 9 to 2. The first hour is that quiet hour, no sirens and horns beeping. So my grandson won't be going till 10, obviously. They'll be also providing shuttle parking and shuttle service from Niantic Center and so forth, because we expect a lot of people there coming for that. It's the first time in a few years. Memorial Day, this Sunday, Sunday the 29th, not this Sunday, but Sunday the 29th at 7:30 p.m. at the Town Green is the Candlelight Vigil. The parade is the following day on the 30th at 2 p.m. And the two people that will be that have been asked to be Grand Marshals are retired Lieutenant General Formica, who's Paul Formica's brother. He's a retired 3-star general in the Army, and Major General Adabo, who lives in town. He's an airline pilot with American Airlines, but he's also a Major General in the Air Force Reserve. And they have Mr. Lieutenant General Formica has agreed. Last I knew, they had not yet heard back from General Adabo, but they will be the Grand Marshals, and the parade is at 2. I think everyone here knows that our finance director, Anna Johnson, will be retiring on September 2nd. So we're going to get in place a committee, not a committee, but a group to review applications. We're going to be posting that probably within the next 2 to 3 weeks with a good, thorough job description to review the applications, select who they want to bring into interview, and we'll talk more about that a little bit later. Dominion Building. I had a really good meeting, a really nice tour of Dominion Millstone a week ago, last Friday. It's amazing what transpires at that facility and the amount of power that's generated there. And there's no question about the safety of it either. But I said, the building's going to be there for a while without anything happening in it. So regarding bathrooms, they said, sure, we can use the building for bathrooms this summer. So I've talked with Dave Putnam. We're talking about a way to secure the bathrooms up in the front to where it would have to be manned. He said he'd have the resources to put someone in there to where, say, from 10 to 4, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, people would have access to bathrooms there. And I think that would help, and there's a men's and there's a women's room in there, so it would help alleviate some of the bathroom concerns. Pension Board has its first meeting tomorrow as an actual board. And the last thing, or a couple things, Bobby Schultz retired after 47 years last Friday with the town. So we always give a proclamation. I posted online on Facebook, Schultz's Way, the little sign and so forth. And we usually make that person Bobby Schultz Day. Because Bobby he's a town resident, he grew up in town, 47 years on the town crew, I made the 13th through the 20th Bobby Schultz week. I figured he earned a week. So.
And he was my student.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
And the last thing is today I attended the Coast Guard graduation. We got the honor of hearing the Vice President speak. But there was one point where they acknowledged there were 9 foreign cadets who were going to graduate from foreign countries. And they said, hold your applause to the end until all the people were announced. Until they got to Anton Kononchenko from Ukraine. He's going to be going back to be the State Border Guard Service of Ukraine. An exception was made for him, obviously, for an ovation of a great magnitude, and it was recognized by everyone there. The challenge he has coming up. But it was a great event. We had several local people from Waterford that graduated. Regina Cohenhoven and her husband, their grandson, graduated. Regina, their longtime residents, graduated. So it was a great event. So I'll end on that positive thing. Any questions for me? Okay, seeing none, and there's no comment here. We'll briefly go into executive session to discuss Hathaway Farms. There was the article in the paper today. I am continuing discussions with Mr. Harney, and Mr. Carlson is also in the process of obtaining me, and I'll mention this public because it was on in the paper, that to get that appraisal we've been looking for that was denied us. He's in the process of getting that for us, so we are making some progress with that. So,
All right, so we'll move to enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing real estate matters, Hathaway Farms LLC. The board entered into executive session at 7:50 p.m. And
is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we are in executive.
so just do that.
Kevin, I
Hang on.
apologize. I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought that you had finished.
So we are, okay, so the board has returned from executive session at 8:04 p.m. and no formal votes were taken. Okay. And move to adjourn
A second?
the regular meeting.
Second.
Is it seconded? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Don't forget to vote tomorrow.
All right.